If this is your first time joining us, welcome. And when you get on, please put your name. Full name will make it easier for the guys at Pupford to send the treats, but please put your full name and where you're from. I just need a state or country. And that's for the free treat giveaway that I will do a drawing around 7:30. And then I'm happy to stay on for another half hour and answer more questions that people might have. So we had a pretty good turnout Christmas Eve. So hopefully we'll get a lot of people on New Year's Eve. So I'm excited to be here and answer all of your training questions. Let me know when you hop on. Let me know how your Christmas was. If you have big plans for New Year's, I think COVID has kind of put a kibosh on a lot of things, but I know there are some parties going on because I'm dog sitting for some clients that are having a big party at their house. So anyway, let's see if I just want to make sure everything's working. Usually I just text Emily and have her jump on just so I can make sure everything's working. Oh, Sarah Ann. Awesome. You're on, so I know it's working. So I'm going to write your name down and enter you in the drawing. And so far, you're our first person. So if you have any questions, hi Anita. Anita's back. Anita's been here before. Anita, how's the training going? I know you had quite a few questions last week. Did you try any of the suggestions? How's it going? Is it working? Let me know how things are going with your pup. And Sarah, if you have questions, feel free to type them in. Oh, you just got married. Awesome, congrats. Okay, I'll change your last name. So when I got married, I became a Ramirez. And then 11 years later, when I got divorced, I actually took back my maiden name because I don't look like a Ramirez, obviously. And we didn't have kids, so I didn't really need to keep my married name. Okay, Laura from Arkansas. Lolita. From Milwaukee. Awesome. We're going to have a good group tonight. Does anybody have any training questions? Until we get questions, I'll let you know. Usually I try to talk about a dog training topic, but instead I'm going to tell you what happened on Christmas Eve. So in November, before Thanksgiving, I got COVID. And I got one of the bad ones. So I was down for like 3 weeks and I actually did not eat for 4 days. And then I started on Gatorade and then Jello. So after I got better, I thought, okay, I'm going to keep going and lose more weight. And so I'm going to like totally cut out sugar. And I already pretty much eat almost a vegan diet. I'm not 100% vegan yet, but I still needed to cut out sugar. So this whole Christmas season, any junk food I got, I would give to my cousin who's living with me. And I was leaving Christmas Eve to go to a client's house, and one of my neighbors brought over a bag, and I just had time to say, oh, thank you very much. And I put it in my car. Coming back down from my clients, it was caramel popcorn. And I'm like, oh, that's my weakness. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to have like one little piece and that's it. And I had one piece and I bit down on a kernel and cracked my tooth. So I have not been able to chew on this side of my mouth since Christmas Eve. I went, and it was Christmas Eve, so who can find a dentist? So I waited till Monday, went to the dentist. He says, oh yeah, it's cracked like all the way down. So we're going to have to pull it and put an implant in. You guys, it's $4,000. It's actually $5,000, but my insurance is paying $1,000 of it. So Monday, I actually have to go in and have a tooth pulled and get an implant from one little piece of popcorn. So I still am pretty much on like smoothies and liquids. I can eat food, but I have to always remember to chew on this side because I can't chew on this side. And so I spent Christmas Day, which is also my birthday, which doesn't matter, but you know, Christmas and birthday on the same day, like laying on my mom's couch with an ice pack on my face because my mouth was throbbing. So that was my holiday. And I can't get my tooth fixed till Monday. So, okay, Anita, when I bring treats in, she gets so excited it's impossible to calm her down. So I would start working on some impulse control like weight. So when I come home, whether I have treats on or not, Jade gets super excited and she's like jumping all over. And so I'll ask her to sit and then say hi to her and then give her treats. So like those impulse control. I worked with a client today who's oh, I was just reading the next one. And then, yeah, I'll comment on that one in a second. So this dog is a Bernese Mountain Dog, and he loves to like get too close to his owners who are, elderly. They're not like old, but elderly. And almost pushes them down the stairs. So we started doing like a sit and wait at the top of the stairs, and then they would go down, and then they would say, okay, come on. And then that was the landing, and then they would do the second flight. And then we practiced the same thing going up, and it worked really well. The other thing you can do is the SMART times 50, but when your dog is being calm, then reward your dog for that. And you can even name it. You can say, oh, good calm, good settle, good chill, like whatever you want to call it. So you can catch your dog being calm and then reward that behavior. And then if your dog is like super excited, you can ignore that, which is really hard for me to do because when I get home, Jade is so excited to see me and I feel bad like ignoring her. But I will ask her to sit. And then when she sits, then I say hi and give her tons of attention. So try that. So think about what you want the dog to do instead. So instead of being all excited, I want you to sit and wait. And then I will give you attention. Then I will give you treats. Hi, Kathy. Kathy, I still don't have my Salt Lake date, but I haven't forgotten. I'm waiting to hear back from the other people to see when they can meet. And so I'm trying to coordinate like 3 different people in Utah. So yeah, try a little bit of impulse control stuff with your dog. I've actually started wearing my treat bag at home, which usually when I get home, it's like I take all my work stuff off. But since Jade is in training right now to be a service dog, I don't want her to just get excited and want to work when she sees a treat bag on. So I've started just wearing it all the time, which works out good because then I don't forget it when I have to go to people's houses, but they don't think, oh, mom's got a treat bag on, so now we'll be good and get treats. So they just see it on all the time. And then there's no difference between me wearing it or not wearing it. Sarah, thank you for I'm going to write these down. So I've been working with a a guy who's local here, and I used to work with his wife at the rescue when I worked there, and her husband went back and passed his boards to be like a natural, it's a doctor of natural medicine. And I've been vegetarian for a long time, but they're the ones that kind of turned me on to the vegan. And really the only things that I eat that aren't vegan are sometimes I'll eat regular yogurt rather than the cashew yogurt. And my favorite protein bars have whey in them. So other than those two things, I'm pretty much there. And so I've been kind of like working with him a little bit, but he's getting busier. So I will definitely look them up. So thank you. Okay, our main issue is that the dogs trigger each other. One is a real barker and one is a learned barker, and we are trying to teach quiet. But I am worried that I am teaching a bad habit because if they bark, it triggers a training session. But now when I say quiet, one of them barks and expects a treat. Okay, that's a great question. So and dogs do trigger each other. So if one of my dogs runs out the dog door barking, the other two will follow. And I do let them bark once to alert me to something that's going on. But then I will say quiet. And I do mark and reward a quiet. If they bark again and I have to say quiet, I don't give them a treat every single time. And I also do this with counter surfing, the off cue, like get off the furniture or get off the table, because some dogs will jump up on a counter, you tell them off, you give them a treat, and then they jump back on thinking, oh, they'll tell me off and give me a treat. So the first time or two, I will treat, but then after that, if I have to say quiet, when they're quiet, I'll say, oh, good job, good quiet, thank you. And I just give a lot of praise. So they're still getting a reward, but they're not getting the treat every single time. Another thing you can do is figure out like why they're barking. So if they're looking out the window and they're barking at somebody passing by, you can limit their access to the window. You can always teach another behavior. So like I teach a flight cue, which basically means it's stronger than a leave it. So it basically means to the dog, I turn 180 degrees and have the best party and treats ever. So so my word is retreat, which kind of sounds like treat, but and I use bacon since I obviously don't eat bacon, and I don't even cook it. So when I go out to eat, they give me a side of bacon in a box. And the only time my dogs get bacon is when we work on the flight cue. So to them, it's kind of like if I say the word Thanksgiving or Christmas, or, if I say like 4th of July, you think of fireworks. If I say Thanksgiving, you think of turkey. If I say retreat, my dogs think, oh, bacon. And the way that I train that is then I throw the treats behind them to get them to turn the other way. And then we work on distance, like moving farther away from whatever they're barking at. So then, if I say retreat and I'm like, oh, good dogs, good dog, good dog. So it's like best party, super fun, super exciting. And then they get bacon. And that's the only time they ever get bacon. So, scenario, if they're outside and they're barking at something, you can go out and say, oh, yep, okay, it's just the UPS guy, no big deal, quiet. And then treat them once, and then if they bark again, maybe just praise them and then teach a flight cue, which means we go the other way. So a friend of mine taught this to a dog that was very reactive at the fence when the neighbor's dog was out. And so they did a flight cue. And so they did it so well that whenever the neighbor dog was out, the reactive dog would automatically move away from the fence. And they made it more fun to be in the yard, not barking, because they did like nose work. They did the go hunt game. They did like just fun things in the yard so that it was more fun for the dog to retreat from the fence and not bark because all the fun happened like in the yard. So you can do stuff like that. If you want me to send you instructions on how to teach the flight cue, just email me. It's Tracy with an I at pupford.com. And then just put, please send me flight cue so I remember what to send you. And I'm happy to send that to you. It's kind of a good, really good foundational behavior that all dogs should know. So like if one's running out in the street or, for reactive dogs, it's one of the foundational things that we always teach reactive dogs because it basically teaches them flight instead of fight or react. So it's a really good thing to teach your dogs. So shoot me an email and I'll send you the handout on how to teach that. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to get this to scroll. You guys all know that I have issues with trying to scroll this thing sometimes. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? It looks like so far that's all we have. Kathy, how are things going with Charlotte? Oh, Mary. Okay. So let me add Mary to the list. Mary, if you could tell me where you're from, too, then I can enter you in the drawing. I just need a state or country. Okay, my dog is totally housebroke, but now she will only go when she cannot hold it. When I come home at noon, I let her out. She will not go, so not sure why I come home. Yeah, I'm not sure I would come home either if she's just going to hold it. So is she going, Ohio. So when you come home, does she go outside or does she go in the house when she can't hold it anymore? Because probably what I would do is, and some dogs can hold it for a long time depending on their age. So maybe what I would do is if she's having an accident in the house because she just can't hold it anymore, I would maybe try crating her because a dog's not going to go to the bathroom where they're being crated and sleeping. And then as soon as you get home, you can leash her up and immediately take her outside and let her go outside, like when she can't hold it anymore. And sometimes, if you come home at noon and she doesn't have to go or she holds it, then yeah, if she's a little bit older, I would probably, just keep her in the crate and let her hold it as long as, oh good, no house accidents. Okay. Yeah, so it could be something medical. I would want to make sure that it's not pain. Also, how old is your dog? I wouldn't expect this to happen in a puppy, but for some issues, it might be painful. So if it's painful to go, like my dog Maddie has a bad back and is getting arthritis in her back hips. So sometimes she has an accident in the house, but it's because it's painful for her to walk all the way down the stairs. Oh, she's only 1. Okay. So that's a tough one. I don't know why she would be holding it, but basically what I would do either way is as soon as you get home, also when you take her out to go potty, make sure it's not like playtime, because some dogs will go outside and they'll be wanting to sniff and explore and play, and they forget that it's like potty time. So if we're going out to go potty, then I put a dog on a leash and we walk around and I just say, go potty, go potty. And then the reward for going potty is they're relieving themselves. Then you can give them a treat. And another behavior or another reward could be, okay, now you can go sniff and play and wander and things like that. I mean, if you have like a fenced yard and stuff. So yeah, I'm not sure why she's holding it so much, unless it was, for some reason painful. But at 1 year old, I wouldn't think that would happen. So yeah, I would probably just, when you get home, take her out on leash, and then make sure that you reward her with a treat, lots of praise for going potty. You can say, "Oh, good potty," so that good things happen when she does go potty. And then maybe she'll learn, like, okay, I don't need to hold it because, I get a treat when I go. Like when I got home today, I let my one dog out of the crate, and she didn't even go potty because she knew it was dinner time. And to her, having dinner was way more exciting than going potty. So I fed him, and then she went out and went potty. I have a dog door, so they can just kind of come in and go out as they want. So it kind of depends on, what other reinforcers are in there, things like that. But try that. Just take her out on a leash, and reward her for going potty. If it keeps up, I would maybe take her to a vet and make sure nothing's going on that's making it painful for her to go. Cynthia, I'm going to write, Cynthia, where are you from? And I will enter you in the drawing. I'm just writing a few more names down. Let's see. My GWP is so focused on, is that a wired hair pointer? I'm not sure what GWP is. I'm thinking German wired hair pointer is so focused on chasing birds in our back garden that she ignores me and is not interested in training. Okay. That's a really good topic. So I'll kind of go over like the stages of learning. If you've joined me before, it's probably, you've heard it before, but it's good. It's worth repeating. So I always like to teach some behaviors in the house first and then outside, because the more that you add distractions, it's harder for your dog to focus. So think about training inside as preschool, and then training for you, I would train in the front yard where there's no birds in the back garden, and make that elementary school. And then maybe backyard with the birds can be middle school. And then like going to a park or Petco or something like that would be like a college level. So the harder it is, the more distractions for your dog, the harder it is for them to learn. Also, dogs don't generalize. So just because they can do it in the house doesn't necessarily mean they'll do it outside. So if I'm teaching something in a new area, I will use higher value treats. So like right now with Jade, we're practicing in grocery stores. And I mean, we try to go on 5 outings a week, and there's always distractions. We practiced in Barnes & Noble last week, and she kept wanting to grab at stuffed animals. So I actually use the Pupford salmon treats when I need a higher value, and that's what I use. And then I go back and teach it as if the dog didn't know it. So I might start with a lure for a sit or a lure for a watch me. I mean, you could use hot dogs, you could use cheese, but think about what you're competing with, especially if you have a bird dog. So, that's what they do. They're like always focused on like birds and stuff. So if you just have a mediocre treat, your dog's going to be like, I'm going to go bark at the birds or chase the birds. But if you have a higher value like cheese or hot dogs or salmon, and then start over, and I would put your dog on leash so that your dog can't totally ignore you, but you have control of the leash, and then start over with the lure again. And your dog will get it quicker because your dog should already know it. But what we don't want to do is jump from preschool up to college. We have to work at where the dog is at. Another thing that you could do, which I learned this from another trainer, and I've actually been doing this with a client's dog, and it's working really well. This dog is also has a high prey drive, and every time we go walk, he gets hyper focused on birds and squirrels or chipmunks. And so at that point, it doesn't matter what I say or what treats I have. Sometimes it's harder to get him refocused on me. So she suggested, trying the Premack Principle, which basically means like if you do this, then you get to do this. So if you wait at the door, then we get to go out and go for a walk. If you sit and wait, then you get your food. If you wait in the car while I open the door, then we get to go for a hike. So she says, what about having the dog sit and focus and be calm, and then let the dog run up to the tree? Like, this dog's not going to catch the birds or the chipmunks, or I wouldn't let him do it because they're usually high up in the tree. But it's like, if you stay calm and focus, then I'll let you go chase the bird on leash, of course, because this is an aggressive dog. So, then I'll let you run up to the tree and you can bark and chase or whatever you want to do. And it's actually worked. So I ask the dog to watch me or do a come front or sit. And I'll even do sit and wait, and he will. And then I'll say, okay, go check it out. And then he runs up to the tree and sniffs around and looks at the birds and things like that. But I've been able to get his focus back because he knows that if he focuses, then I'm going to let him go chase whatever he wants to chase, like within reason. I wouldn't do it with something that he could actually catch and hurt, but they're up in the tree and they are much faster than he is. So try that. I mean, you could start at, from a distance. So like just go out your back door. And I don't know how it's set up, so I don't know how far your back garden is, but start at a distance and get your dog to do easy, sit, watch me, touch, and then, okay, let's go check it out. And you can go see the birds, and then get a little bit closer to the back garden, and then closer, and then closer, and keep working in that area. So when we were in Barnes & Noble, we kind of did a figure 8 around the 2 stands that had all the stuffed animals and the toys. And so we just kept doing like a figure 8, and we practiced leave it. And we probably practiced there for 20 minutes until we could walk around and Jade didn't touch anything. And she would focus on me and get salmon treats. So it actually worked really well. So that should give you a couple of suggestions. 1, higher value treats, start farther away. And if you can get your dog to focus, or, you can incorporate the training into that. It's like, okay, I want you to do a sit and a 5-second stay, and then I'm going to let you go chase the birds. So instead of using, you can use a treat reinforcer if you want, but if your dog is really focused on the birds, let that be the reward. It's like, if you do this, then I'm going to let you go chase. But if you don't do this, then sorry, you're going to stay on a leash and you're not going to get to go chase them. And then you may have to back up and work more on the behaviors like inside the house until your dog gets them really, really solid, and then start to go outside. Okay, Sarah, how do you suggest getting their attention when they are in a full bark frenzy, mail package delivery? Okay, that's a good question. So think about if your dog barks at the UPS guy or the mailman, and they bark, and what is the UPS guy, FedEx, mailman, whatever, they come, they leave something, and then they go away. So in your dog's mind, they're making that happen. So your dog thinks, if I bark, I can make somebody go away. So it becomes reinforcing for them to do that behavior. So the first thing I always suggest is limit their access to the front window or the front door so that they can't see mailman, UPS guy, FedEx. So blinds, drapes, there's that foamy stuff that you can put on windows that they do a lot at Christmas. It looks like snow. You can actually make it look nice, but block their view so they can't see. Because if they can't see the UPS guy, and then they can't practice that behavior. Then the next thing that I would do is, in this case too, you could probably do like the look at that, where you just teach them, and with two dogs, I would teach them separately before you try together, because where they feed off of each other, if one barks, you're going to lose the other one. So I always teach things separately before I try to put them together. But you could even start outside and be like, oh, look, there's a UPS truck, click treat. Look at the UPS truck, click treat. Oh, look, there's the UPS guy, click treat. So we're teaching them a different behavior. Instead of barking in a frenzy, I just want you to look at them and stay calm, and I'll treat you for it. And then taking that one step further, once the UPS guy comes up, they usually have treats on them. Let the UPS guy give them treats. So they learn to associate that, but they only get the treats if they're calm. If they start to bark, then you need to increase distance. But then you could move that to the inside. Sometimes dogs have what we call barrier reactivity, which means there's a barrier there, and so they're going to react. But if you remove the barrier, they're totally fine. Like my dogs are like that. In the yard, they will bark at other dogs, but if I opened the gate, they'd be totally fine with the dog. So in that case, you might, you could do a leave it. And you don't have to yell, but yeah, sometimes I'll clap my hands. I'll say, hey, leave it. And then I'll ask them to do something else, like come, or I will do the flight cue. It might be appropriate to do the relaxation protocol with them, which basically teaches them how to be calm with increasing distractions. So you literally start with 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and then you work up to knocking on the door. Then you can work up to seeing the UPS guy, seeing people walk by, things like that. And it's so gradual that they just learn how to stay calm with increasing distractions. When you email me, tell me that you want the flight cue, look at that, and the relaxation protocol, and I'll send you all three. And all three of those you could work on at the same time with them. So 1, teaching them how to stay calm. 2, teaching them how to just look at something and not react and get rewarded for that. And then 3, if you do need to get them to retreat, then you use your flight cue. They work really well all together. And for every reactive dog that I work with, those are 3 of the fundamental foundation behaviors that I use. So try that. And yes, I always do. I try not to say no, because dogs don't really know what the word no means. It's like, no, don't bark, don't wag my tail, don't stand on the chair. So instead, we want to teach them what we want them to do instead, which is hard if they're in a frenzy. And if they are like over threshold, they're not in learning mode. So that's why you want to teach them how to be calm first, and then teach them how to just look and notice something and not react. And then you have your flight cue for when they start to hit that threshold and they're about ready to go over threshold. Then it's like, hey, walk away, or whatever you want your flight cue to be. I've had some clients come up with some pretty clever ones, like, head for the hills, party time, like different things like that. So then that's going to mean turn and go the other way, best party and treats ever. Okay, let's see if I can get this to scroll. So yeah, when you email me, you're going to ask me for those 3 things. Charlotte has a lot of great behaviors, but definitely needs some work on not jumping on people and not trying to rush out the front door. Okay, so we can work on that. I have a great handout on door manners for the jumping on people, and I have to work with Jade on that all the time. And part of the problem, and it's probably Charlotte's problem too, is they are so dang cute that people say, oh, I don't mind, they're so cute. And I have to say, well, but I mind because I don't want her jumping on people, because not everybody loves dogs and they don't want them jumping. So I have to ask people, like, please ignore my dog if they jump. And turn your back and only give them attention when they have 4 on the floor, they're sitting. But then I will step in and I'll say, Jade, sit. And then I will ask her to sit, and then I will tell people, you can pet her now that she's sitting. If she starts to jump again, turn your back and ignore her. The hard thing is everybody has to do it. Because if you get one person that says, oh, I don't mind, she can jump on me, well, then that behavior gets reinforced. And the dog doesn't really understand, well, why can I jump on this person, but I can't jump on this person? So, Jade, you're fine. So you kind of have to just say, my dog's in training, Charlotte's in training, we're trying to teach her not to jump. So please ignore her until she's either sitting or has 4 on the floor. And then you feel free to step in and say, Charlotte, sit. And then when she sits, then they can pet her and say hi. So then she learns, when I greet people, I sit and then I get attention, and you can even give company like treats so that they can give her a treat. I also do like a sit and a wait at the door. And it's kind of like, I don't know if we got that far with Charlotte. If you want to email me, I'll send you the handout on door manners and wait at the door. So basically, I ask the dog to sit. And so here's the dog. What can I use for a door? I'll use my phone. Okay. So the dog sits at the door. So somebody knocks at the door, and I put the dog in a sit and a wait. Then I start to open the door. If the dog moves forward or rushes the door closes. And then I put the dog back in a sit. And then I say wait, and then start to open the door. As long as the dog's waiting, the door opens. And then I'll say, come on in, and then I'll release the dog. I'll say, okay, now you can go say hi. But if you're opening the door and the dog rushes, the door closes. And I usually put a sign on my door that says, dog in training, thank you for your patience. Don't be offended if I close the door in your face. Because what we want the dog to learn is if they rush the door closes and they don't get to say hi. If they wait, again, that impulse control, if they wait, then the door opens, the person comes in, and then they get to say hi. So it goes back again to that Premack principle. I don't really want to wait, but I will, because I know if I do, I get to say hi to the person coming in. If I don't wait, the door closes and I don't get to see them. And when I was doing this with my dogs, I would pay the neighbor kids like $5 to come and like knock on my door and help me practice. So, and they loved it. It's like they got to make money and they got to help with training and stuff like that. If she's still getting mouthy when overly tired, then at that point I would crate her or put her in whatever room she sleeps in. Usually when a dog is overly tired and they get mouthy, it's because they just need a nap, they need to sleep, or they need to sleep. It's kind of like when young kids get like really ornery and you can tell like, oh my gosh, you need to go to bed. Same thing. I would crate her, put her in another room, let her take a nap, and do that. Okay. Hi, Cindy. So let me write Cindy down. Oh, and Cynthia is from Australia. And Joey's doing better. I'm so happy to hear that. I try to get on the Facebook community like once a day and answer questions, but I don't always get to follow up on them. Just because the most recent one commented goes on top, and since I'm only on for about half hour a day, some of the other ones that I comment on like go towards the bottom and then I don't see them. So I always like to hear what, how the dog's doing. German wire hair pointer. I actually had an English pointer that I took from a guy that I felt like was abusing the dog. So I gave him a choice. I said, you can either give me the dog or I can turn you into animal control. And he chose to give me the dog. It's one of the best dogs I ever had. He's so smart. And we would go hiking and he would naturally point. Like, I didn't teach him that. It was just genetics. He just naturally pointed. He was a mix, but yeah, super, super smart. And yeah, since they're a pointer and they're bird dogs, they're naturally going to want to go after dogs. So you can use that innate genetics to your advantage. So like, if you do this, I'll let you go bark at the dogs or birds. Sorry. If you do this, I'll let you go chase the birds. So try that and let me know how it goes. Oh, the email address here, I'll type it in. It's Tracy with an I at pupford.com. And yeah, any handouts or anything you need, I'm happy to send them to you. Okay, let's see. It looks like we don't have like a super huge group tonight, which is okay. I know it's like right before New Year's Eve, and everybody's getting ready for New Year's Eve. But if we don't have anybody else come on, we'll do a drawing and cut it short. I love doing these, but I've been working like all day. I had 3 hike and trains. So by the time I was to my 4th client, my feet were soaking wet. And it's been pretty cold here. So yeah, I'm fine if we cut it short too, but I do love doing these. So I'm happy to stay till, as long as we need to. I usually don't stay past 8 my time, just because my voice is usually gone by then. I'm just going to go back and make sure that I got everybody's name. And answered everybody's questions. Okay, Cynthia, can you talk about the ping pong effect when leash training with treats? Tell me, I'm not sure what you mean by ping pong effect. I have not heard of that before. I can tell you what I do for leash training, and then if you could type in what the ping pong effect is, then I can hopefully address that. I've actually never heard of that. What I do when I'm leash training with treats is I put the treats on the right side and I put the dog on the left side. If you want to put your dog on the right side, that's fine. And then put the treats on the other side. And there's basically a few techniques I use. The first one is just the stop and go game. So for the first one, pup comes back to get the treat, then pulls forward again. Okay, yeah, so for that, the first technique I use is the stop and go game, which doesn't even involve treats, but it's basically tight leash, we don't go, and then I wait for you to give me a loose leash, and then we go again. That one takes longer, I think. So what I do is I change direction. So when the dog pulls forward, I turn around and go a different direction. Then when the dog is right by my side, so the dog's running to catch up with me, and then when they're right by my side, that's when I click and treat. Then if the dog bolts out in front again, I change direction and go the other way, and I always click and treat when the dog is right by my side. So I don't give them the chance to come back and get a treat and then go forward again, because if they do, I change direction. And I'm trying to think if I've ever seen anybody train that way, where the dog comes back to get the treat and then pulls forward again, because it seems to me that then we're rewarding the dog for pulling. So they're pulling, they're coming back to get a treat, and then they're pulling forward again. So it almost seems like the dog's getting rewarded for pulling. So I would change direction. If you want to email me, I'll send you my handout on loose leash manners. This is not a formal heel, but if you want, I can send you the formal heel. When I'm just out walking or hiking dogs, I don't make them heel because it's good for them to sniff and explore as long as they're not pulling. So there is a 110-pound dog that I hike and train 3 days a week, and he doesn't, he's getting so much better. Like today, we had an amazing day. He didn't pull at all, but some days he just wants to pull. And so I'll stop, and sometimes I'll turn and change direction, but I always treat him when he's by my side. Another one that you can do for really aggressive pullers and strong dogs is I will go one step, drop a treat, one step, drop a treat. And so it refocuses dog's nose to ground, and they're slowing down because they're getting a treat. And then I go every 2 steps, and then every 3 steps, and then every 4 steps. So that you're not having to treat all the time, but it does slow the dog down, and they're looking to the ground for the treat. The other thing I do, yes, and I do too, it's really good enrichment for dogs to be able to sniff and explore. I mean, it just is. And most people do not walk the speed that dogs need to walk to get sufficient exercise. So they need to be able to kind of run and sniff, and they're getting mental and physical exercise. So I do allow that. The one thing that I do with this big dog that I walk is I'll say, not that he understands this, but in my own mind, it's like, okay, we're going to go 10 steps. And if you can go 10 steps, then I'm going to let you go explore. So I'll say, okay, let's walk. And I save heel for right by my side. But if we're just out on a walk, I don't use heel. In fact, I very rarely use heel, like an actual heel. I do more of a loose leash walking where you have a nice J in your leash or a U, and it's not a tight leash. So we'll walk 10 feet or 10 steps, and then I will say, okay, go sniff. And then that's his reward. So Monday, he was really naughty and he pulled a lot, and I was really frustrated, and we had to keep stopping. He's on a freedom harness, so I kept pulling him back towards me. And so today I thought, okay, we are going to be doing loose leash doggy boot camp. And every time you pull, we're going to turn and go back to the house. And then we're going to go, and if you pull, we're going to turn and go back. He walked right by my side. And so as a reward, I unclipped the back on the freedom harness and gave him a longer leash and said, okay, go sniff, go explore. So he got extra freedom to sniff and explore. And then I also took him in a different area that's a little bit more fun and enriching. So in the winter when it's slippery, we'll usually walk part trail and part road, and just do this loop. But today I actually took him on the trail because I had my yak tracks on, so I didn't have to worry about slipping. And I really wanted to reward him for not pulling. So he got the back clip off, so he got a longer leash, and he got to sniff and explore as long as he wasn't pulling. So I used that as a reward. But for you, I would try the change, because if a dog's out here and then you change direction, dogs get tired of always having to catch up. And so they learn to just kind of stay by your side. Plus, when they're kind of by your side, they get treats. So we want them to learn that's where the good stuff happens, is right by my side. And then for really strong pullers, I'll start with hot dogs or something and drop one every step, and then every 2 steps, every 3 steps. Sometimes I do hand targeting too. So I'll put my hand right by my side and say, touch, touch. And so their nose is focused here instead of rushing forward. There's also something called a circle method that I've started to try because I'd heard about it, and it actually works. There's a video on YouTube that talks about it, but basically, if the dog, so let's say that this pen is me and this is the dog, and if the dog starts to pull, then I start to do a circle, and I keep doing a big circle, and so the dog is like going, like I'm also turning, but I just keep doing this really big wide circle until the dog comes into me, and then when the dog comes in, then I go straight again. And if the dog starts pulling, I start to do a circle. The dog's on the outside, so they're doing a big circle, and we just keep doing circles until the dog comes in, and then we go straight again. Yes, a freedom harness. In fact, I think I have one here I can show you. Jade usually has one on, but she doesn't tonight. So let me see if I can find. Oh, here it is. So this is all I use on my dogs, and I've had 8 pit bulls, and one, when I first got him, he almost broke my hand because he pulled so hard. So this is the freedom harness, and the reason that I like it is because it does have a front and a back clip, and it comes with its own leash. So I know, Jade, you think you're going somewhere, but you're not. Sorry. So yes, this is the back clip. This is the front clip. So then if the dog pulls, you can grab this front part and just turn them back towards you. I like it because it has the 2 points of contact. And so like if we're walking on a road and I don't want the dog to get hit, I will use the front and back because then the leash is shorter. But if the dog is doing really well, or you're on a hike and you want to give them more freedom, then you unclip the back and then the handle slides up. Now you have a longer leash, but you still have a front clip harness. So if the dog starts to pull, it just turns them back towards you. So that's the different, that's kind of the difference between the Easy Walk and the Freedom Harness. The Easy Walk just has the front clip, and the Freedom Harness has the front and the back. So you have more control. And sometimes I'll just grab the front, turn the dog back towards me. So yes, that's why I like those. And Pupford is now selling the Freedom Harness. So you can actually just get on the Pupford site, and I haven't looked, but I'm sure they have a measuring, like how to measure your dog. Like Jade is, let me just show you. Here, Jade. So she's a small. She's about a 30-pound pit mix, and she's a small size. My 40-pound pit bull is a medium, and Maddie is a large to extra large. She's 70 pounds though. So, but they do give you a way to measure. Let's see if it's on the box. Oh yeah. So it tells. So you measure their chest, and you go by their weight. And I'm sure that on the Pupford site it tells you how to measure, and then it tells you like what size to get, and they are adjustable. So I like them kind of snug, because if it's not snug, what did I just do with it already? If it's not snug, then the front, like the harness moves, but not the dog. So you want it kind of snug so that when the dog pulls, it pulls them back towards you, but not tight enough that it rubs. So that's why I like that they're adjustable. And then if your dog's going to do some growing, you can still adjust it. So yeah, I love those. That's all I've been using for the past 10 years. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to scroll again. It's not really working. I don't know why this thing has such a hard time scrolling. It's kind of stuck. we might just go an hour tonight. We'll do an early drawing and call it a night. Let me go back and see if there's anything that I haven't covered. So Kathy, you email me and tell me you want the door manners and the weight of the door. And okay. Does anybody else have any more questions? There's not anybody else on tonight, so we can definitely cut it short. And if anybody else has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Let's go ahead and do a drawing since we don't have any more questions. Let me just stick all these in my little jar and mix them up so that I can draw. Okay. Tonight, our winner is Laura Anderson from Arkansas. So congrats, Laura. Oh, Sarah, this has been great. I do have more questions, but I need to do my part first in consistent training and then ask if I have issues. Yes, you're very welcome. And you can always email me if you have questions on stuff as you're working through it. And then also I'm here every Wednesday at 6. And you can always ask questions on this forum. And I can kind of get into more detail doing live than trying to type it, because sometimes then it turns into a book. Okay, so for Laura, you are going to email hello@pupford.com. I'm typing that in right now. And let them know what kind of training treats you want. And I will email them as well and let them know that you are the winner. And you can pick from any of the flavors. So the chicken, beef, duck, rabbit. My favorite is the salmon, but I use it for high value. So, oh, Sarah, I'm Mountain Time. So right now it's 7 o'clock Mountain Time. And I always start at 6 o'clock Mountain Time. And that's why I go till 8 in case people are either earlier or can't get here. It was kind of a good middle. We used to start them at 7, but I felt like it was too late for the Easterners, so we moved it back to 6. So yes, congratulations. Email them at hello@pupford and let them know what kind. Yes, I agree. So the smelliest ones, in my opinion, are the salmon. And when I walk into people's houses, they can smell the salmon treats in my bag before we even get started. And I've even had clients say, oh, I can smell the salmon on my hands. I'm like, well, just wash your hands. Your dog loves them. But because I do work with a lot of reactive aggressive dogs, I need a high value treat. And I hate cutting up hot dogs and like having to grab for hot dogs because it's kind of gross. So that's why I like the salmon Pupford treats, because they're still high value, they're still smelly, they still smell like salmon, and but the dogs love them, and I consider it a high value treat. So and again, it depends on the dog. So the dog gets to decide what they want. So if you have a dog that loves beef flavored, then you would use that for the high value. But so far with all of the dogs that I work with, I think the salmon is a really high value treat. And I can usually get any dog's attention, even with distractions, with the salmon treats. So yeah, that's just my opinion and my experience. So, okay, well, thanks for joining us tonight. It looks like you guys all get to go home early tonight. Have a happy new year. Everybody stay safe. And I will see you guys next week at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and we'll do another one. So come with your questions. Again, feel free to email me if you want any of the handouts I talked about. or if you have training questions. I'm also able to set up virtual training sessions with people if you want them. They do cost money, but I've actually discounted it for Pupford people. And Happy New Year to you guys too. But we do it virtually through a Zoom link. So I send you a Zoom, and I do have a lot of videos and stuff, so I can show you what to do, show you how to do it, talk you through it, spend a little bit more time. So if you have a behavior you're working through that's a little bit more complex, keep that in mind too. And I can also help you find a good trainer in your area through a couple of different groups I belong to. We all do science-based training. So if you wanted somebody to actually help you like in your area, I can help you find a trainer in your area. So I'm happy to do that. So Happy New Year, everybody, and we will see you next week.